What's going on, guys? It's been a while since my last video, and there have been some updates to some JRPGs that I would like to talk about. As always, remember to hit that like button and let's just jump right into it. It's almost surreal to me that up until very recently, we didn't have much to go on with Shin Megami Tensei 5. But in the past few months, trailers, character information, new demons, and new gameplay has drenched us in SMT goodness, and I'm glad that the game is proceeding nicely, you know, given the fact that it was first shown to us in 2017. Anyway, SMT 5 looks to be following in the footsteps of Nocturne, and me and Nocturne have a toxic relationship, to put it lightly.
You ain't shit. I am Metatron. I'm gonna call you Megatron for this one.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit!
That's a lot of light. Oh, we got a special. Okay, this guy's a big deal apparently, because we got a special boss battle team. Base my judgment of cursed spirit. Go to hell! What the shit, bro? What the shit? Wow. Wow. Okay.
I'm not too thrilled about this. Nocturne, while it certainly was not a bad game, definitely had some aspects that I genuinely disliked. Aside from its chaotic or random nature that battles can sometimes become, I wasn't particularly happy with how the story was being told or how the story played out. Not much flair in the cutscenes, the characters, at least in my opinion, were very forgettable, and most of the time you were traveling from one place to another all by yourself. Felt like the game was incredibly isolating, which I suppose was the intent in that area, but I personally don't care for that approach in my JRPGs. Not saying it's a bad approach, just saying it's not for me. Shin Megami Tensei 5 seems to follow in those footsteps somewhat. You are a special kind of entity that will be traveling across a ruined Tokyo with demons, and once again feeling that sort of intended isolation, I guess. Now the cutscene seems to have more flair, dynamic camera angles, animation, and just have more life to them. So maybe from my perspective, the characters will stand out a bit more and be more memorable since they're not going to be with you all the time. As far as combat goes, it seems to be your standard SMT affair. Hitting enemy weaknesses will net you more damage and give you extra turns. There seems to be a super meter, so to speak, with the Mahasui bar. You can unleash a devastating attack of sorts. You also have the Kakusuchi moon phases returning from Nocturne, and it looks like the game will have a guard command that will protect you somewhat from damage and not strike weakness if your character happens to be weak to a certain type of attack for that turn. I'm sure there are more features to battle, but I haven't really looked into it that much. I like to go into a game fresh and figure out all the kinks and mechanics to battle myself. Another thing I want to talk about is the game's performance. I did see some frame rate drops in the gameplay showcases that have been shown, but it doesn't seem like it will really hinder gameplay in any way. It's a bummer we didn't get that Switch Pro, but hey, it is what it is, and I'm sure Atlas will try to optimize the game as much as possible before release. And honestly, guys, I don't need to see anything more from Shin Megami Tensei 5. Don't need to see more gameplay, characters, new demon trailers that they've been dropping, and whatever else have you. As I said, I like to go into games fresh and be surprised and intrigued by what the game has to offer. I don't know, that's just me. It's a day one. Atlas, you got my money. Let's go on to the next game. Now, I am super late on this one, but we got a plethora of Trails games officially coming, and I could not be more excited about these. The Crossbell games, Trails from Zero and Trails to Azure, are finally making their way overseas, officially in English. People have been waiting ages for these games to drop so they can play them, and they're kinda needed to play the latter half of the Cold Steel games. We are also finally getting Hajimari no Kizuki, which now the official name for it will be Trails into Reverie, and that's what I'm going to be calling it going forward. And we're also getting Legends of Nayuta Boundless Trails, which is a spin-off of the Legend of Hero games that actually got re-released in Japan fairly recently. All this is great news. The Crossbow games are ever important entries to the series. We got Trails of Zero coming in 2022 and Trails to Azure coming in 2023. What in the three stages of hell is going on with these release windows? Trails into Reverie and Boundless Trails are coming in 2023 as well. I really don't know why these releases are so damn far off. I know some of you will say we got plenty of games to play in the meantime, and yeah, that's true. And for me personally, I was kind of getting burned out with the Legend of Hero games, so having some time off will definitely do wonders for me. As for the Crossbow games, this really isn't making much sense, because for those two games, NIS America is doing something that is quite frankly unprecedented. They are actually using the fan English translated Geofront patches for the games. So you would think that with both Azure and Zero would come out at the same time or within a couple of months for each other, but no, we gotta wait potentially another year for Zero and then an additional year to get the sequel Azure to come out in 2023. Now, of course, NIS America is a small company and they have to be careful with their resources. Plus, I imagine they can't just take the Geofront patches as is. They have to go through them manually and vet them to make sure the translation fits with the other games in the series as a whole and the games that have already been released. You know, to make sure the translation matches with those games and everything is consistent throughout. Not to mention all these games will be on PC, so they have to optimize for that platform. And I suppose they are trying to release everything in order, so to speak, with, I'm guessing, Trails into Revelry coming out last, because knowing about the events of Crossbow is going to be very, very important for that game. So besides the release windows being pretty far off, this is good. And as I said before, I'm a bit burnt out when it comes to Legend of Heroes, so Revelry and Boundless Trails coming in 2023 works out pretty well for me. Let's move on to our next game. Tales of Arise, since the last time I talked about it, had two new playable party members revealed. One being Kisara, and she looks pretty cool. She uses a mace and a giant shield, kind of like a tower shield, so I can't wait to get her into my hands and see how her fighting style feels. And the other character that was revealed is Dohalim. He uses a rod to attack, and he kind of looks like the character that will focus on aerial combat, so he'll be fun to play as. Hopefully he's engaging to use as Judith was in Tales of Vesperia, if that's the case. Also, these two characters bear a strikingly resemblance to other game characters that I know. Kisara looks like Katarina from Grand Blue Fantasy, which isn't a bad thing. Katarina looks awesome. And Dohalim looks like Arjuna from Fate Grand Order. I swear if you just make his hair black, he looks exactly like Arjuna. I mean, I can't be the only one that sees this. Anyway, Tales of Arise is shaping up to look like a good Tales of release. I'm still wondering if this game will be the Tales of game that puts the series back on the map and maybe, just maybe, be the next breakout game for the series, but that remains to be seen. One more thing I want to talk about with Tales of Arise is that we got a video showing how the skit system works. If you played Tales of games, you know what skits are. For those that don't, they are small conversation pieces that happen outside of battle and major cutscenes, and it's kind of like mini banter between the party members talking about the events that just transpired or the battle that just happened. And they do have very funny moments. They usually are set up in a visual novel-esque way with 2D character artwork. The characters are usually have one or two poses that give some reactions. Tales of Arise decided to go in a different direction when it comes to the skits. Well, kinda. The skits are in the 3D sort of comic or manga style. It works how Scarlet Nexus handle its cutscenes, and the benefit of this is you'll be able to see the costumes you put on your characters in these skits. I don't have a problem with this new skit system personally, but I'm seeing a fair amount of people are not too happy with the change. For me, as long as there are a good amount of skits and they're as fun and entertaining as the previous titles, I don't really mind a change or evolution in the style of skits. And of course, as long as the skits don't become borderline cutscene replacements, yes, I am glaring at you, Tales of Berseria. I swear, at one point, major story beats were being dropped in skits for Berseria, and some skits were really long because of it. So as long as that's not the case, I'm cool. Anyway, as I mentioned with SMT5, Tales of Arise is day one. Bandai Namco, you got my money. I just hope the PC version will be good to go on day one. Fingers crossed. And that's all the JRPGs I wanted to talk about in this video. Drop a comment down below, let me know what you guys think. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new around these parts. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.